ladies and gentlemen, I have a clip for you, and you're just not even going to believe your eyes. You're not going to believe your ears. This is Kari Lake saying something that shook me to my very core whenever I saw it. It was stunning. She is supporting Donald Trump. What? No way. The individual who is known for being a massive dishonest election denier supports the election denier in chief. Look at this.
In Iowa, are you planning to run for president?
By the way, interesting discussion I want to have after this clip, and I'll show you a second clip as well. It's not all just me being goofy.
Am I planning to run for president? No, I'm not. I am a big supporter of President Trump, and I want to make sure that he wins. This country needs him. And sadly, because of the disservice that the media has done to President Trump, people have believed some of the nonsense that you guys have been pushing on him. And it's really unfortunate. I'm hoping that people, now knowing enough about the fake news and how many lies you guys have talked about and told, that they'll realize that a lot of the stuff they heard about President Trump was lies. So I want to make sure that he wins. I think that on day one, he can get in there and restore confidence in Americans. He can also represent us on a world stage. We're not being represented right now on a world stage. We need him on day one to get in there and start turning this mess around that Joe Biden has gotten us into. And the only reason Joe Biden has been able to get us into this mess is because of corrupt, stolen elections that you guys don't want to cover. But the American people know what happened, and hopefully you guys will catch up.
So she can say that as many times as she would like, as confidently as she would like, and it won't make it true. Unfortunately for her, fortunately for the truth. Because when Trump made these claims, they were called out for being lies. And then way down the road, after all of these investigations that were done, all these different batches of analysis, all the different election officials coming out and verifying, and on you go. All the different court cases that the Trump team lost. We then, on top of that, realize, and like I said, we have another clip of Kari Lake to get to in a second here. We realize that Trump, his team, paid a batch of researchers to go look into 6 states and the election results there to find evidence of this widespread voter fraud, find evidence that the election was stolen from Trump. And you know what they found? Nothing. They were not able to find the very proof of the claims that Trump asked them to go find, essentially. They wanted these researchers to find proof of the stolen election, and they didn't find it. Why didn't we hear about that? The fact that Trump had his own they're not his, but he paid researchers to go look at the election results because it contradicted the narrative that Trump was going with. So his team kept it private. And Kari Lake has brought her claims of the election being stolen to court, and they've been thrown out. And even just within the public conversation, she's provided what she thinks is evidence and it's not. And her biggest issue is with the fact that there were tabulation machine problems. And as we talked about, that was recognized. And then people's ballots, they were still able to vote. They would set them into a secure box. They were tabulated once the machines were back up and running. And people's votes were not missed, and people's votes, their right to vote was not taken away that day, even though she claims otherwise. And so the more times you hear her say it, don't let that make you think, gosh, would someone really repeat something this many times if it was just a lie? Yes. And Trump's a great example of that. And we've now had so many different verifications that what he's saying is false, and he keeps saying it. And so many things, or so many times we've confirmed and verified that what Kari Lake is saying is false, and she keeps saying it. And it's terrible and dangerous. Next clip here, she gets asked, and by the way, this is pretty wild. She's the headline speaker at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC. So to people who say Kari Lake's not relevant anymore, she's the main celebrity within conservative politics in this space as of now, and so many people are behind her to the point where I think the most major conservative convention like this, the Conservative Political Action Conference, is having her as their major speaker. And so she gets asked about that and says this.
Ma'am, if you could, just speak on your being able to speak at CPAC this year and what that means to you.
Awesome. And you were with who?
I'm with TV6, ma'am.
TV6. I used to work there.
All right, excellent.
I used to work there. I'm speaking at CPAC this year. I'm really excited. You know, CPAC is just a great place for conservatives to come together. I'm a big believer that the majority of Americans are conservatives. The majority of Americans want common sense solutions to the crazy problems we're dealing with today. Problems that we don't need to have. We don't need to have a wide open border if we apply some common sense solutions. But we got to elect the right people to do that. And I believe all Americans want a secure border. All Americans want to end the fentanyl crisis. All Americans want safety on their streets. These are real basics, and we're about to bring those to the people. And so I'm thrilled to be speaking at CPAC. I'm blown away to be here in Iowa and have so many people turn out. It's really an honor to be back in my hometown.
So I want to give you a little bit of context as to or about how I approach individuals like Kari Lake and so many of these dishonest political figures in our current political reality when it comes to their discussion about different issues. Because often the issue that they're talking about, the problem they're talking about or alluding to is one that actually matters. So then the question is, how do we interact with their solutions, their discussions of that problem? And the rule that I have is if you're very dishonest about the problem, or you lie about the essence, the reality, the causes of a problem, I have zero interest in your proposals on the solution to that problem, because you're clearly not an honest actor, so your solutions aren't going to be of value either. So when it comes to the things she listed, just to dive into one, fentanyl, one that is discussed a lot by Republicans. And I think the fentanyl crisis is something that needs to be addressed, and I care about that. And so why am I so against the rhetoric used by those within the Kari Lake crowd, for example, on that issue? Well, it's because when they talk about the problem, they leave out key details and allude to dishonest details or dishonest portrayals of details in a way that does not allow us to dive into real, meaningful, attached to reality solutions. Meaning, often it is either explicitly said or alluded to that it is undocumented immigration. It is the open border, as they call it, allowing undocumented immigrants to come across the border that is causing the fentanyl crisis. But as we've talked about in the past, fentanyl is disproportionately, the vast majority of fentanyl is coming through legal ports of entry, and it's legal U.S. citizens doing it. And so while I've said this many times now, I don't think we should have undocumented immigration, because I wish we had a humane, a people-focused, human-oriented, and expanded, enhanced legal immigration system, a more operationally efficient legal immigration system that can handle the immigration we're seeing and treat each person as they should be, and all those different things, so that we wouldn't have undocumented immigration. And of course, each person would still have to go through the process, and not every single person would be able to go through the whole path of becoming a citizen. But we should have an expanded and enhanced legal immigration system, and that is why I'm not for undocumented immigration. But let's be honest about the problem with fentanyl. It doesn't have to do, for the most part, with undocumented immigrants at all. So why are they alluding to that? Why are they acting like the parts of the border that you would enter illegally is where fentanyl's coming across, which would lead you to believe it's undocumented immigrants bringing fentanyl across? Because fear-mongering about undocumented immigrants is more politically advantageous for them. Instead of talking about the legal ports of entry, how we secure those, how we do better searches, how we identify fentanyl more effectively, so that we can actually address the problem. Or the fact that it's legal U.S. citizens bringing the fentanyl through these legal ports of entry. So I don't want to hear about Kari Lake's solutions to the fentanyl crisis or to the border or whatever it might be, because she's not even on a basic level able to honestly discuss, articulate, and convey the reality of those very issues. So how are we going to talk about the reality of a solution? And while she purports, and many others within the conservative movement purport to care about these issues, whether they know it or not, they're actively, by lying about the reality of them and lying about how we could solve them, they're actively working against a productive conversation about solutions and thus delaying and preventing those solutions from being implemented, which is one of the most sickening things to watch with American politics.